From basketball superstar
Shaquille fadeaway,
to one of the most successful entrepreneurs out there. Today on Power Players, we got a legend in the house. I'm excited to learn from this guy today. Welcome to Power Players, the legend himself, Shaquille O'Neal. Okay, so Shaq, so good to have you here today. Really, really appreciate you taking your time. I'm one of the billions of people on this planet that have, just crazy admiration for you and been a fan for many years. But more so than just the basketball, it's your business savvy, man, and your entrepreneurship and the remake of who you are that I'm so impressed with in your life. So thank you so much for taking time with us today.
Thanks for having me, sir.
So talk to me, man. How does a guy like you're one of the probably most liked celebrity people in the world? Everybody likes Shaq. How did you do that? Did you do that purposely, or how do you make people like you in the?
So when I was coming up, I was a high-level juvenile delinquent. My father was a drill sergeant. So through a lot of discipline and punishment means I'm programmed to pay attention, listen, and learn. For example, he used to always take all the other athletes that made a mistake, and I would get in trouble for it. My last discipline spanking was, there was a gentleman by the name of Len Bias. He was going to be the first pick. The night before he got drafted, he died from a cocaine overdose. My father came in the house livid, crying like it was his son. And he just took me and he shook me. He's like, if you ever do coke, I will kill you. And I was so young at the time. I was like 12 or 13. I was like, Daddy, we don't drink coke, we drink Pepsi. He's like, no, drugs. Don't ever do drugs. That's why never done drugs, never smoked cannabis, none of that. Never did alcohol. So I would learn from other people's mistakes. What humbled me in high school was in 1989, I saw my first article. It said, Coles O'Neal, the best in the U.S. And I went to a small school, and there's all these other big schools in the city, but they were talking about me. So I actually felt like, I'm bigger than you, I'm bigger than you, I'm bigger than you. So my school was 9 through 12, 239 students, 9 through 12. Senior class had 39 people. So my best friend, who actually still works with me today, they orchestrated a plan. That's like, okay, guys, if Shaq want to act like God, you treat him like God. So let's just say I come in school and I walk on the left side, the whole school will move to the right. And they wouldn't say anything, they wouldn't do anything. This went on for like 2 days. I said, okay. So I go in the lunchroom. There's people in the lunchroom. As soon as they see me sit down, every student picked their tray up and they walked out. So that was day 2. Day 3, I go to the gym, practicing with the guys. I'm like, hey, what's up? Everybody just sprint to the other side of the floor. So then I sprint down to the other side of the floor, they sprint back. So then I finally asked my guy, I said, hey man, what's going on? He said, hey man, you didn't get here by yourself. Ever since you got that article, you've been treating us a little different. So you want to act like God, we're going to treat you like God. So from that day on,
wow,
I've been very humble. And the last reason is my mother is my favorite person. She's an avid TV watcher. It would hurt my heart to have her sitting down watching TV and seeing me do something idiotic. Yes, I'm going to make mistakes and say crazy things. And when I do, she calls me, but I don't want to make a major mistake and just have her sitting there with her friends and see me doing something crazy. So all those things, kept
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. So all those things combined have kept me out of trouble.
Yeah, that is an amazing story. I've never heard that. Where did you get, Shaq, your money mind? You didn't grow up rich, right?
No.
So where did you get your money mindset? Where did you start changing the way you think about money and finance and debt and cash, et cetera?
Again, when you don't know something, you have to learn. Some people teach themselves by trial and error, and some people ask questions. I was never afraid to ask questions because I know I'm not the smartest guy in the room. But if I see somebody that's doing it, take one question. Like, hey man, how'd you do that? Oh man, I did this, and I write it down and I memorize it. So when I got my first $1 million, I said, I got to take care of my family.
How old are you at this point?
18 years old.
Wow.
I get a signing deal and I get $1 million bonus. My agent called me and said, hey, I'm gonna send you $1 million to your bank account, right? So I said, okay. And at this time, I'm doing simple math. I said, I got to go get this car I've always wanted, Mercedes-Benz, 150,000. So I know 150 minus $1 million, I still got 850 left. I'm still rich.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So I get that Benz and I come home. My father, man, I'm proud of you. Where's mine at? Jump in the car, big man. Go buy him the same Benz. Come back home. My mom's looking like, oh, you guys are, but she's looking sad. I got you too, mama. I don't get her the big one, but I get her the little one. So I spent $400,000 that day, right? So then, after that, I got to go get I got to go get the earring. I got to go get the jewelry. I was living at home because I left LSU, and this was the time, right before I get drafted. I knew I'm gonna come back to San Antonio, so let me go down and get a penthouse and pay it off for the year. The rent was $2,000 a month. 2,000 times 12 was 24,000. I write them a check for 24,000. Now I got my own penthouse. 2 days later, I get a call from the bank. And I grew up on an Army base, was very close, so I had, the guy was like, and everybody knew how I was because I was, product of the base. The bank president calls me over and he says, Shaq, I want to show you something. And I get in there and I'm looking at my paper. And you know how you always hear stories about how people steal money from athletes and all that. So I'm looking and now I'm pissed. I'm like, who the hell is FICA? Who the hell is FICA? FICA stole $250,000 from me. And he just started laughing. And so he reaches behind his dad and he gives me a book, The Dummy's Guide to Starting Your Own Business. And he tells me, he says, Shaq, I don't want you to be like 70% of these athletes who have nothing. Because see, I thought when my agent called me and said, hey, you got $1 million, I thought that was $1 million net. FICA had to take it, sales tax, state tax. I only had about $600,000, but that was gone. Like I spent $400 on the cars, $100 on the jewelry, $30 on the real estate, $20 on rims and all that stuff. All that money was gone and I had no idea. Now, I talk about being programmed. I'm also programmed never to make the same mistake twice. So now that I had $1 million and I spent it all in one day, I'm back being broke again. That'll never happen again. So I'm reading this book. I don't know what I'm looking at, but the chapter that interested me the most was starting a subchapter S corporation. And it said something like, you start a corporation, you can put your family on salary and you can write these things off. And I was like, what's the write-off? Write it off, business expense, get it back. That's the first thing I did. Second thing, a chapter I enjoyed was joint ventureships. And then when I was, coming along in business, I'm like, I want a shoe company, but I can't run a shoe company. How will I do this? Reebok, hey, we want to give you a deal. Nah, I don't want my own shoe deal. I want to be in partnership with you guys. Let's do a joint ventureship. They were kind of impressed that I knew a joint venture. I said, so it'll be Shaq and Reebok, and we'll just do a collaboration for 4 or 5 years, see how it works. So I had to learn, I had to teach.
Now, let me ask you, Shaq, was that you were 18, 19 at this time?
18, 19, yes.
Is that when you did your first big endorsement deal?
Yes.
And who's helping you? Who's helping you? Like you don't know everything.
So after I spent $1 million, I interviewed 5 of the top financial advisors. And I know from being from the streets that if it's too good to be true, stay away from it. So the first guy, yeah, you're gonna get about 50 million in your contract. You can be a billionaire by 25. I was like, stay away from him. Then another guy, boom, 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 boom. Then another guy. Then the last guy that came in and said, hey man, I'm just starting. I'm honest. Government bonds, no risk, annuities, save your money. And I said, well, who do you represent? He said, my biggest clients are NWA. And I was like, NWA, the rap group? He's like, yeah, I represent NWA. I told my dad, I was like, I want to get with him. My dad was like, no, he don't know. I said, no, I like him. He's real. And I've been with this guy since 1992, and he helped me in business. He knows a lot of people. And again, I tell people, it's okay to ask questions. It really is. Like, I met a gentleman one day, and I always used to see him in LA. And in LA, I'm making 100 million. I'm rich. But this guy, he's coming in with Ferraris and Lamborghinis. And I asked him, and I found out he was a successful businessman. So we're sitting, he's drinking wine and drinking water. I'm like, hey man, how do you get so rich? And he pulled out $100 bill and he did this. He said, Shaq, I watch a lot of athletes, and Y'all are doing it wrong. This is how you should do it. So if you have $100, now you got 50. You save 50, still got 50 left. He said, now rich people spend this 50, but the wealthy people will. Now this $25, whatever you want to do, cars, houses, girls, whatever, and you save that. So once I started doing, I was like, aha. So every time I got a check, I just took a little piece for me, for bills and for cash, and I saved it. And I just put it away. And then I started doing annuities because I was like, you know what? I have a wife, I have children now. I want to be able to collect a lot of money at the age of 50, 55, and 60. So, you know, those things right there were not that difficult to me. And I had a lot of guidance and I asked a lot of questions and you learn. So like when people look at me, it's like, oh, you're a smart businessman. No, I just take things that are difficult and break it down to where it's easy for me. Like I knew I had to save money. I knew I had to start this subchapter S corporation. I knew I do business with a lot of people, but in order for me not to run the business, you got to do joint ventureships. And you got to be nice to people and you got to respect people. And you got to believe in the products that you endorse. And that's just
How, like when you were signing in the beginning, like were you in any fear about, hey, how long is this ride going to last? Did you know how long it was going to last? Did you know how much money you would produce over the next 30 years?
I was really in fear. But early I said, I'm going to take advantage of all opportunities because I like stacking it, right? Mm-hmm. So Reebok, 40 for 5. Orlando Magic, 40 for 7. Pepsi, 30 for, like, I'm just movies, this. I'm stacking it, right? Okay, now I know I got this much. Now I got this. Portion to the family, portion for bills, portion for my fund, portion for travel. This is how much I got saved. That ain't enough. I got to do more. And then I met Magic Johnson at 18. He was like, man, proud of you. You're doing all these endorsement deals, but at some time you want to start owning things. And I had no idea what he was talking about. Like, what are you talking about? So I went back to my book. I'm reading. I'm asking questions. And I'm looking. I was like, oh, this is what he means. And I, start, investing. And my first big investment was the same hotel, same table. There was some other gentlemen. They were sitting there with their kids. The kids recognized me and they playing with them. And the guy's like, man, thanks for talking to my kids. These kids were beautiful and fun. We was just sitting there playing Uno. He's like, man, I met a lot of celebrities. There's no guys like you. And he pulled out his briefcase. He said, we're working on this thing called Google. It's going to be big. I want to give you some shares and some stock. I didn't know what he was talking about. But another thing is, General Eisenhower said,
They gave you Google, or they gave you the tip?
No. They said, hey, we want to talk to your people about, investing in this company, Google. So, Dwight Eisenhower said the greatest leaders are the ones smart enough to hire people that are smarter. I had no idea what he was talking about. Okay, but I gave him the number to my guy, the same guy that represented NWA. I said, call my guy, we'll set up a meeting. So we set up a meeting and we invested in Google, because I've always loved technology. And then, 9, 10 years later, we got a really big, nice hit. So, then I got greedy. I started thinking I was an investment master, and I failed. I love failing because
what did you fail in? What was it? You remember?
Because I got such a big hit with Google, I was only on the get rich quick schemes. Hey, Shaq, you got pretty lips. Let's do Shaq lip gloss. Yeah, let's do it. Hey, Shaq, paper is big or little. Let's make the paper. Like I would always do that and I would lose. So I had to come back and readjust. So, I go to all these technology summits. It's a good looking dude by the name of Jeff Bezos. He's talking about what he's going to start in the future. It's called Amazon. And I'm listening to him like, that's going to work. It's going to be big. And before he gets off the stage, he says, I invest in things that's going to change people's lives. And Amazon will change your life. And he walked off the stage and I was like, invest in things that's going to change people's lives. And if you think about it, you got to be at a 70 to 80% get a great return on your money. Like if it's something the whole world needs, bro, Amazon blew up so much during COVID, it's not even funny. Nobody wanted to leave the house and they wanted to get so. Once I changed my strategy to that, I've been really been getting a lot of great, returns.
So Shaq, do you have any idea like what opened you up to like even wanting to do that? I mean, you're rare.
Fear.
You're rare in any space. Say it again.
Fear.
Uh-huh. Fear.
60 to 70% of athletes after they're done, 5 years after they're done, have nothing. Zero income. Not $1, not $20, not minimum wage. They have nothing coming in. So for me to go from 40 million to 100 million signing bonus to 120 million to another 80, and now to have nothing, I can't do that. My mother needs me. My brothers and sisters need me. My children need me. People need me. So that's why when that guy took that $100 bill and broke it, if anything, I'm gonna do that. I gotta save half so I can just do something when I'm done. All right, but you know what? I got so much coming in. I'm gonna do the other. I'm gonna take half of the half, and I'm gonna save that, because you don't have to be the smartest guy. You just have to be smartest in listening. Like if I'm want to run a restaurant, I'm gonna go to my favorite restaurant, talk to the head chef, talk to the owner, and talk to the manager and get as much information as I can. And if worse come to worse, I'm gonna say, hey, how much is he paying you? He paying you $100,000. I give you $250. Let's start a restaurant across the street, and you have full control. You see what I'm saying?
Have you ever started a business from scratch, or are you investing in businesses that are already ongoing concerns? And what would you recommend to somebody if you weren't playing basketball and you were 25 years old today or 52 years old today, starting a business or buying a business? Which way would you go?
I would probably buy a business. If I had the income to buy a business, I would buy a business and I would try and make it better. For example, there's this daycare around the corner. I want to buy it so bad. I do. I want to buy it so
And
bad.
you're an entrepreneur's junkie, man.
Like daycare, something that's going to help people out, right? But I want to get this daycare and make it sort of like a luxury daycare. Because I'm looking at the kids. The park is okay, but I want to give them the amusement park feel. I want to add another building. I want to put a swimming pool. I want to do a baseball thing. It's right around the corner of my house. One day I'm gonna go in there and be like, how much? Because I'm looking at these kids and I love kids, but I want these kids to have it all. Like they got one little jungle gym and one little hoop. No, man, these kids, I want them to, slides, baseball field, kickball field, and I know I can do that. And now if you got a school that's like that, parents are going to want to come by, and you can damn near charge what you want because they know their kids are safe, they're taken care of, the kids are having fun, the kids will be in a good mood. One thing you're going to be at my school, you're going to be in a good mood. I'm going to give you cookies and ice cream and play with you. Because, when you're that young, education is important, but I think livelihood is more important. I want the kids to be happy. I want them to be fed. I want them to be jovial. I want them to be energetic. I don't want them to come and, they don't like the games that we play and all this, because it starts at that age. And if I'm in charge, I'm going to have them upbeat. Like if you look at all my kids and all the kids that are around me, they're always upbeat because I know how to have fun. I know how to say, let's stop being serious for a while. And you better run before I bite you. Just 5 minutes, chase them, and then get back to the basics.
And that kid likeness seems to be very much about your brand. Are you consciously aware that you're a marketing genius? Do you know that about you? And how important is marketing to a business person?
Marketing is very important to a business person. When I was in college, I failed marketing class. The professor said, show us an item in 4 or 5 years we can introduce to the world. So you know me, I had Shaq drinks, Shaq shirt, Shaq underwear, because I was already thinking about the Shaq brand. I was thinking about the Shaq brand so much that I went down to the local trademark office and I trademarked it in 50 states. I couldn't trademark it worldwide because I didn't have enough money. So I trademarked it in 50 states. Because when I was taking business classes, we talking about trademark. So if you look at Jordan, his is Jumpman, and that's how he looks when he dunks. So mine is Dunkman. So I went down to the local office and I registered it and I gave him my emblem because like when I dunk, I like to kick my legs up. I had, one of my friends draw it, paid him $100 to draw it, and we took it down. So when I presented my project to the class, the professor pulled me to the side and said, Shaq, it's okay, but if you look at the climate of the NBA right now, big guys don't sell. And I was distraught. I was like, he's right. Because at the time, only Magic and maybe Bird had commercials. And they had one commercial that you only see during the NBA season. I'm like, damn. So I'm back in the room and I'm like, I'll never be famous like those guys. And I kept seeing this dumb dog. And I turn the TV off, and then I go to the hardware store. This dog has shirts. He has hats. And I go back home and I'm looking for this dog, and I find out his name, Spuds McKenzie. So now I study Spuds McKenzie. You remember all the Spuds McKenzie commercials? All his commercials were funny. Bam, that's it. If I ever get the chance to be on TV, humor, 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 humor. People like humor. Mm-hmm. People like me and you that are working all day, we don't want to see stuff thrown in our face. But if I could make you laugh about the product, like, hey, drink this shake, blah, 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 blah. And then I drink and I have you remember that when you go to the store. Hey, man, that's so. I always had to include humor in all my commercials. And I've always had the ability to have creative control. Because remember, my mom was watching TV. She's going to be watching these commercials. So one, I want to make her laugh. And I want to be in control of the messaging. I don't want to do nothing and say nothing that everyone doesn't approve of.
And how many different investments or companies are you involved in today?
A lot. I would tell you, but I don't want my mom to feel like I'm bragging. One day I was on the show and I'm invested in this and this, and she called me right away, baby, you know you're blessed, right? I was like, yes, ma'am. I don't like it when you talk about how rich you are. And, during COVID, 40 million people just lost their job. It's like, Mama, you're right. I apologize. But I'm invested in a lot of companies right now.
When you look at a company, are you looking at, are you taking advice from somebody on it? Or are you looking at it yourself and looking at the sales, the marketing? How are you assessing something, or does it just feel good to you, or what?
I have to like it. I have to know a lot about it. I have to understand it. I have to believe in it. I'm at the point now where it's not all about money with me. If you ask me to be your partner and I like your company, now we're teammates. You're going to throw me the ball. I'm going to do what I do, and we're going to win this championship. I never look at sales. Sales has nothing to do. When I first got with Icy Hot, I think they were 5 and 6 in sales. I didn't know that. I didn't care about that, but I knew that their product works. I know every time when my muscles got tired and achy and I rubbed Icy Hot on it, I was looser than I ever been. It even got so hot that when it got to a certain area, I was screaming. So when I met with them, I was like, I love your product. It works. And then they let me create all the commercials, and then we quickly rose up to number 1. But the importance of the story is, if I believe in your product, if I believe in you, if I believe in the team, and you ask me to be on your team, let's try to win a championship. And the best we can do is either win or fail. And if we fail, we part ways. And if we win, we just keep going. I've had 17 renewals with ICI. So that means we've been winning for a long time.
You seem to be driven by this, like almost like success is success, money, the whole thing, winning is like a duty or an obligation, not just some option, some possibility. Can you just talk about that?
I would have to disagree with you.
Okay.
I'm driven just by knowing that I'm blessed. I want to make other people smile. Mm-hmm. And I have one statement that can change everything. My statement is, it could be worse. I could be one of those athletes that in 70% I'll have nothing, right? But no, I follow the rules. I listen to my parents. I stay humble. I do everything above board, and I'm here, and I'm happy with that. I don't have to make another investment in my life. It's not about money for me. It's just about being here, being happy. I'm 50 years old. I've done a lot. I'm still working at 50. I'm still looking good.
I hope I look as good as you do when I'm 50, man.
You actually are a very, very good looking man. I like, whoever did your house, the decor there is awesome. Who did your house? Your wife? Your wife did that?
It's a friend. I'm staying at a friend's house.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it. But I'm not driven by money or fame. I always tell people I'm not even really famous. I'm just a guy that, because of telecommunications and media, I play the sport. You love sports. They plaster my picture. Here I am. But I don't consider myself famous. Like people, when I go to places, people are like, where's your security? I'm like, I don't need security. Where's your entourage? They're like amazed. Like, I'm a DJ now and I'm on tour. And the people, they said, man, we looked at the list of things you need, and there's only one page. I'm like, yeah. It's like, man, a lot of artists have 40 pages. I'm like, what? I'm like, bro, water. It's like, man, he's like, bro, you're the most famous guy we've had here, and you're the most humblest. You come with 2 guys, you're an engineer, and the guy that sets your equipment up, I've never seen this before. We'd be having guys coming, 40, 50 people. We got to buy them champagne and weed and all that. He said, we never seen anything like that. I'm like, bro, all I need is water. Water, you paid me to go out there to give these people a good time and make sure you get your money. Because my father taught me, when a person pays to see you perform, give them a show. So, you know, I'm all about fulfilling my duty, and that's like the military kid in me. These people pay you money to go DJ. And then as a DJ, as a father.
Sounds like you're talking about that DJ Ari guy. He's a pain in the ass, man.
No, he actually, DJ Ari was the one that got me started. I do it because it gives me the same feeling as basketball. I have that adrenaline. So when I have these kids out here, I got to make them jumping down. I got to keep them safe. I got to keep them having fun. I got to listen. I know what it is as a kid. Charge $30 for tickets, and you want to come jam, and you want to get in the mosh pit. You want to do all that. You want to release. You know, if you don't release, then you're just more upset and cause more problems for you. I want you to release all that and just have a good time, do what you do, get home safe, and then go about your day.
How important is it to have everybody on the same page, Shaq?
It's very important to have everybody on the same page, especially on your team. But, you know, this is why communication is always key. You know, I am a 1 minute manager. Like, for example, if me and you were starting this company, I would never call you. The reason why that, because I can see that you're an intelligent man, you're passionate about what you do, I'll let you do what you do. Now, if a problem arises, me and you have a conversation for 1 minute. Hey, man, everything all right? Yeah, man, the technical boom. Okay, I'll tell you what, we're not going to use Zoom anymore. We're going to use Microsoft, see how that works. Help you fix the problem and we move on. I'm not the guy that's, I don't believe you did this. And when I called the first time, you didn't tell me I shouldn't have been in the car. Like, I'm not like that. Like, I just, you know, let my people do their thing. And that's why you have to manage a team. If I was able to do your job, I'd be interviewing myself. Hey, Shaq, how you doing? Man, I'm doing pretty good, but I'm not able to do the job. So, you know, it's all about respect and all about treating your teammates fair.
When people are going different ways, so do you have any advice about how to get everybody back?
You just have to communicate. You just have to see what their, I don't want to say problems, you just have to see what their concerns are, what your concerns are, and you just come to a happy medium. I saw this documentary the other day, African-American gentleman talking to a Ku Klux Klan guy. And everybody was, well, I don't believe you're doing that. But the guy's point was, listen, everybody has their own different views. But if you sit down and talk to somebody, everybody has some commonalities. These guys are best friends now. He actually made the guy that was in the Klan rethink his ways, and now he's a better guy in society. But this guy was like a real, this, and the guy met him by himself, talked, and, you know, he was going back and forth, and he was like, hey, man, you like fishing? Yeah, I like fishing. Man, you don't know that. And they just became friends, and now they're best friends. So, like, everybody's not going to have the same ideologies and the same principles. You just have to talk to find out, you know, where's there's, you know, some commonality.
With all the investments you have, last couple of questions, Shaq, and I really appreciate your generosity and your time. How do you look at real estate as part of your investment portfolio or the companies you're invested in?
So one of my good things to do is partnerships. And why partnerships are so important is it's all about trust. Never been a real estate expert. I know a little bit about real estate, but not enough to say I'm going to do this and do this. However, my partners are. I trust them. I trust them with everything because they're going to be honest and they're going to break it down to me. See, I'm smart, but I'm not that smart to where I want to read the whole damn portfolio. And if I can talk to a guy that's an expert, he can break it down. Shaq, I don't like this property right here because the city's not going to approve it. Boom, 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 boom. If we go across the street, that's already zoned. Like, I like people that can break it down and just be, hey, you give me $2 million, we're going to build condos. Boom, boom, boom. So my partners in New Jersey, the Boré Development Group. I was kind of responsible for bringing down the projects and building condos. We do excellent, great work. And I just built something called Shaq Towers. It was an old school, built some high rises in Newark. They're doing better, beautiful, but those are my partners because one, they care about the people, they care about real estate, they care about me, and that's all I need. And again, that was my best chapter in that book, Joint Ventureships. Like, I want to be a real estate expert, but I don't. But I know somebody who is, and that's just called having teammates. Like, I want to work, be free, and travel, right?
Do you like real estate as an investment vehicle?
I do, but I will never go in by myself ever because I'm not that smart. And it's okay to not be the smart. I love not being the smartest guy in the room. Love it. Love it. I consider myself a geek. A geek saved my life in high school. There was a kid that always got bullied by the football players. And one day I just got sick of it. Like, man, leave this kid alone. And I beat the baddest football player up in school. Nobody even knew I could fight. Because, I'm nice, all that. But this kid just kept messing with this kid. The kid's name was Dougal. Everybody messed with Dougal. And again, we went to a small school. And I was like, man, leave him alone. Man, what you going to do? So I beat the kid up. Dougal said, man, thanks. Nobody ever stood up for me. I failed a government test. I get a 69. And the teacher really didn't like athletes. But because we were 35-0 and the school had a chance, and she said, Shaq, I like you. You sit up front. You really try. And I don't want to be hard on you. I want you to get with this guy. He's going to help you pass this test. So I go in the study hall room, and it's Dougal. I'm like, Dougal? He's like, yeah. And when I'm talking to Dougal, Dougal was so smart. And the way he broke it down, I'm like, bro, I never thought about it like that. And then, he had that computer where you had to go, you had to put something in the line, and you had to hit 3 times before you turned it off. And we worked on that all night. I just felt smart. I made an 80 on the test. We was able to win the state championship. Nobody messed with Dougal ever again. But after that, I was like, I used to kind of make fun of these geeks. I'm a geek now. I want to be, because it was for the first time I felt smart. So I used to C's and high C's. And I could never get to the B's or the A's. And I finally made a B on the test thanks to Google. So I was like, you know what? I'm a geek. So I'm a geek, and I just like learning. I like learning information.
Last question. What does the term 10X mean to you? What would it mean?
So 10X would means me and you start this community leadership company, and we're doing well, and we bring in a certain amount of profits. The guy, Elon Musk, hears about it. Hey, man, you guys are doing great things. We want to buy it. We see this is how much you generated. Okay, this is how much you generated, but if you want to buy this company, you're going to have to pay us 10X. Maybe, matter of fact, you have to pay us 15X. And then his crew is smart. We're going to fight. And then we're going to get 12X for our company. And then me and you're going to be smart. We're going to get another 10-year deal to work for Elon Musk's company for double the salary that me and you was making. That's what 10X means to me. When I'm selling something and they know how much I made, they know how much it's worth. But if you want to buy it, you're going to have to give me 10X for it.
I love that. Shaq, you've been awesome, man. I really appreciate your time. And really appreciate how successful that you've been, what you've done for such a long period of time, and maintain yourself, take care of yourself. So really, really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, brother. And I'll talk to you soon.